There are moments in life when the veil is lifted and what was hidden in shadows suddenly stands exposed in the light. It's not always a dramatic unveiling. Sometimes it's a whisper in your spirit, a quiet unease that lingers when someone speaks. Other times it's a pattern that repeats, a subtle betrayal that until now you've chosen to overlook. And then there are moments when the truth crashes through like a mighty storm, leaving no room for doubt. But make no mistake, when God reveals something, he does not do so to harm you, but to heal you. He does not bring things to light to punish you, but to position you for something greater. And yet, how often do we resist his revelation? How often do we cling to people God is trying to remove? How often do we excuse, justify, and ignore, hoping that what we see is not real because the truth is too painful to accept? God, in his mercy, never exposes without purpose. He does not allow the light to shine into the dark corners of our lives for no reason. He does it because there is something greater ahead, something he does not want you to miss. You see, every person in your life is there for a reason. Some are sent to strengthen you, to walk beside you, to sharpen your faith like iron against iron. Others come as tests, revealing what is in your heart. And then there are those who were never meant to stay. Their season in your life has passed, but you have held on longer than you should, hoping to rewrite what God has already decided. The signs are there, but are you willing to see them? You've noticed the inconsistencies, the way their words don't quite match their actions. You felt that stirring in your spirit when you're around them, the way your peace seems to slip away. Maybe you've even seen the cracks forming, the little compromises, the subtle manipulations, the way your trust in them no longer stands firm, and yet you hesitate. You tell yourself it's nothing, that they mean well, that things will change, but deep down you know God never exposes someone in your life without reason. He does it because he sees what you do not. He hears the conversations you were not meant to hear. He knows the motives hidden beneath their words, the thoughts they'd never say aloud. He knows when a heart is loyal and when it is not, and because he loves you, because he is for you, he will not allow you to walk blindly into harm. He will show you, but you must be willing to see. It's not always easy, is it? Because exposure often means loss. It means acknowledging that someone you trusted was never who you thought they were. It means admitting that a relationship was built on something weaker than you believed. And that is painful. But let me tell you something. What's even more painful is ignoring the signs and suffering the consequences of willful blindness. God is not exposing to hurt you. He is exposing to set you free, to move you forward, to bring you into the fullness of his purpose. And if you will trust him, if you will believe that his vision is greater than yours, then what he reveals will not destroy you, it will deliver you. So open your eyes. The light has come. Now is the moment to see. There's a kind of silence that speaks louder than words. It settles in the spaces between conversations, lingers in the moments when something should be said, but it's the silence that follows disappointment, the quiet that comes when trust has been shaken, but no one wants to say it out loud. It's the absence of peace in your spirit when you're around someone you once felt safe with. And if you're paying attention, you'll realize it's not just silence, it's God speaking. God has a way of making the truth known. Not always through great signs and wonders, not always through sudden and dramatic revelations, but often through a quiet unease, a whisper in the depths of your soul, that still small voice that tells you something isn't right, that feeling you can't quite explain but can't seem to ignore. You may not have proof, you may not have the words to describe it, but your spirit knows. God is showing you something. Too often we dismiss it. We tell ourselves we're imagining things, that we're being too sensitive, that we're overthinking. But let me ask you, how many times has ignoring that voice led to heartbreak? How many times has pushing past that unease left you in a place you never should have been? Because here's the truth. God does not put hesitation in your spirit for no reason. He does not take away your peace without purpose. He is not the author of confusion. He is the author of clarity. And when something or someone in your life is not aligned with His will for you, He will not allow you to rest in it. You may have noticed it, the way conversations with this person feel different than they used to, the way something about them doesn't sit right with you anymore. You don't know why, but it feels like a shift has taken place. Maybe they haven't done anything obvious, maybe nothing has changed on the surface, but deep inside you sense it. That is not just your mind, it is God revealing slowly, gently, that all is not as it seems. And yet, so often we resist. We silence the voice of God in favor of our own desires. We choose comfort over conviction, familiarity over faith. We say, Lord, show me the truth, but when He does, we say, no, not that, not them, not now. We beg Him for wisdom, but when He gives it, we second guess it. But God is patient. If you don't listen to the whisper, He will send a nudge. If you ignore the nudge, He will send a disruption. And if you still refuse to see, He will shake everything that can be shaken until you have no choice but to face what He has been showing you all along. Not because He wants to hurt you, but because He loves you too much to let you walk blindly into destruction. When God takes away your peace, don't fight to keep it. When He withdraws His covering from a situation, don't try to force it back into place. Pay attention to what your spirit is telling you, because God will never remove something good from your life, only what is standing in the way of something better. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to understand everything right now, but you do need to trust that when God speaks, He speaks for a reason. His silence is not emptiness, it is direction. His absence of peace is not abandonment, it is a warning. And if you will listen, if you will heed the quiet voice of God, you will find that what He removes today is only making room for what He is about to bring. So don't ignore the silence. It is speaking, it is leading, it is saving you from what you cannot yet see. Life has a way of revealing truth, not always in the way we expect, not always in the way we want, but always in the way we need. There are moments when everything seems to be going just fine, when the people around us appear steady, when our relationships feel secure, and then suddenly something shifts. A storm rises, a disturbance comes, something disrupts the comfort we've settled into, and we find ourselves facing a truth we hadn't seen before, or perhaps a truth we had refused to see. Not all disruption is the work of the enemy. Not every shaking in your life is an attack. Sometimes God Himself is behind the storm. Sometimes He allows the ground beneath you to tremble, not to destroy you, but to reveal what was never firm to begin with. Have you ever built something only to find that it wasn't as strong as you thought? Maybe a friendship, a relationship, a partnership. Something you invested in, something you believed in. It seemed sturdy, it looked good, but the moment pressure came, the moment things got difficult, cracks began to appear. Conversations that once felt natural now feel forced. Promises that once felt secure now seem hollow. You start to see inconsistencies. You start to notice things that were always there, but you were too close to recognize them. That's not an accident. That's not coincidence. That's God allowing pressure to reveal what was hidden. Because the truth is, character is not proven in times of ease. Loyalty is not tested in comfort. Faithfulness is not revealed when the road is smooth. It is exposed in the storm. Think of Judas at the Last Supper. He had walked with Jesus, talked with Him, dined with Him. To the others, he looked like one of them. But when the moment of testing came, when the pressure of greed and deception weighed on him, his true nature could no longer remain hidden. It wasn't that Jesus didn't know who Judas was. It wasn't that the signs weren't already there, but the moment of exposure had to come. And when it did, it changed everything. God does the same in our lives. He will allow a moment of shaking, a time of testing, not to harm us, but to show us who people truly are. Because the reality is, some people are only for your journey up to a certain point. Some people walk with you only until the road gets rough. Some people are happy to be in your life as long as things are easy, as long as they are benefiting, as long as their comfort isn't threatened. But the moment God begins to elevate you, the moment He starts refining you, the moment your path starts requiring more faith and less familiarity, watch what happens. There will be some who cannot go with you. Some who once supported you will suddenly grow distant. Some who once praised you will begin to criticize. Some who called themselves friends will begin to reveal something else entirely. Do not be alarmed. Do not be dismayed. God is not taking something from you. He is showing you what cannot remain. And the mistake we often make is trying to hold on to what God is removing. We fight for relationships that were never built on truth. We chase after people who were only meant to be in our lives for a season. We try to rebuild what God Himself has torn down. But let me tell you something. When God allows disruption, when He causes a shaking, it is always for your good. What He removes, He replaces with something greater. What He exposes, He does so to protect you. So don't fight the shaking. Don't resist the storm. If something is falling apart, let it fall. If someone is walking away, let them go. If a door is closing, stop trying to keep it open. God sees what you do not. He knows what is ahead, and He is not trying to break you. He is trying to prepare you. When the wind blows, let it blow. What is meant to remain will remain, and what is meant to go will be carried away. Trust the shaking, because on the other side of it is something stronger than you've ever known. Truth has a way of revealing itself, whether we are ready for it or not. You can cover it, you can delay it, you can even convince yourself it isn't there, but the truth will always find a way to the surface. That is the nature of light. It cannot be hidden forever. Have you ever watched the sun break through a thick morning fog? At first, the mist clings stubbornly to the air, making everything unclear, blurring what is right in front of you. But as the light grows stronger, the fog has no choice but to lift. And suddenly, what was concealed becomes plain as day. This is what happens when God begins to expose someone in your life. The fog lifts, the illusion fades. What was hidden in shadows can no longer remain unseen. Sometimes the exposure is subtle. You begin to notice inconsistencies, small things, little details that don't quite add up. A slip of the tongue, a hesitation, a contradiction that doesn't make sense. Other times, the exposure is sudden, undeniable, unmistakable. A betrayal comes to light. A deception is uncovered. And you realize that what you thought was solid was never solid at all. But hear me, God does not reveal the truth to punish you. He does it to protect you. He does it to remove the blindfold from your eyes so that you do not continue walking in the wrong direction. Because as long as you are tied to the wrong people, as long as you are building on unstable ground, you cannot step fully into the purpose God has for you. Think about that. How many times have we ignored the signs? How many times have we chosen to look the other way, hoping things would change, hoping what we saw was just a misunderstanding? How many times have we silenced that small voice inside of us, that nudge from the Holy Spirit, because we were afraid of what the truth might mean? We don't like exposure because it forces us to make hard decisions. It confronts us with realities we would rather not face. But let me tell you something. There is nothing more dangerous than living in a lie. There is nothing more destructive than placing your trust in something or someone who is not who they claim to be. The truth will always demand a response. When God lifts the veil, when He shows you who someone truly is, you have a choice to make. Will you acknowledge what He is showing you, or will you pretend you don't see it? Will you walk away from what He is asking you to leave behind, or will you cling to something He has already declared unfit for your future? Because here is the reality. The mask cannot stay on forever. The performance cannot go on indefinitely. Sooner or later, character will be revealed. The fruit will show itself, and when it does, you must be willing to believe what God is showing you. You see, we don't just struggle with deception from others, we often deceive ourselves. We hold on to people out of loyalty when loyalty was never meant to be one-sided. We excuse behavior that has already wounded us. We rewrite history in our minds because the truth is too painful to accept. But God loves you too much to let you settle in a place that is beneath what He has planned for you. He loves you too much to let you remain connected to people who will only harm your destiny. So He reveals, He exposes, and when He does, it is not a punishment, it is a rescue. So pay attention. When the mask begins to slip, when the light exposes what you could not see before, do not resist the truth. Do not fight to hold on to what God is trying to remove, because the only thing more painful than seeing the truth is ignoring it and suffering the consequences later. The fog has lifted, the light has come. Now you must decide whether you will walk in it. There is a weight to knowing the truth. When God reveals something, when He lifts the veil and exposes what was hidden, it demands something from us. It is not simply knowledge, it is responsibility. Because once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you know, you cannot pretend you don't. And what you do with that revelation will determine what comes next. Too often we hesitate. We see the truth, but we delay taking action. We wrestle with it, we question it, we try to justify what we now know. And the reason we do this is simple. We don't want to let go. We don't want to admit that something we trusted was never trustworthy. We don't want to accept that a relationship we cherished was never built on the foundation we thought it was. Letting go feels like failure. It feels like loss. But listen, God never exposes someone in your life without a purpose. He never allows you to see the truth just to leave you standing in the ruins of what once was. If He reveals it, He intends for you to respond, and if He is calling you to separate from something or someone, it is only because He has something better ahead. It is human nature to cling to what is familiar. We fear the unknown, even when the unknown is safer than the deception we've been living with. So we try to hold on, we try to fix things, mend things, force things to work, when God has already made it clear it's time to move on. Think about Lot's wife. She had been given a clear instruction, leave the city, don't look back. But something in her heart couldn't let go. Something in her spirit still longed for what God was pulling her away from. And in that moment of hesitation, in that single glance backward, she lost everything. That is what happens when we refuse to move forward. When God removes someone from our lives, when He exposes something that cannot remain, He is giving us a choice. Do we trust Him enough to let go, or will we keep trying to hold on to what He has already called us out of? Some of you have been delaying your destiny because you won't release what God has already exposed. You've been praying for clarity, but you already have it. You've been asking for direction, but God has already spoken. The truth is in front of you, but instead of walking away, you've been standing in the doorway, looking back, holding on, hoping things will change. Let me tell you something. If God has removed His blessing from a relationship, from a connection, from a situation, no amount of effort on your part will restore it. You cannot fix what God has already rejected. You cannot breathe life into what He has already declared finished. And if you keep trying, you will only delay what He has prepared for you on the other side. It may hurt to let go, but it will hurt even more to stay in something God has already left. It may be painful to walk away, but it will be far worse to remain and suffer the consequences of ignoring what He has shown you. Trust Him. Trust that if He is calling you out, it is because there is something ahead that requires your full attention, your full heart, your full commitment. You cannot step into your future while holding on to something from your past. You cannot embrace what is coming while still clinging to what was. When God exposes, it is not to break you, it is to free you. And when he says it's time to move forward, don't hesitate. Don't look back. Walk boldly into what he has prepared, knowing that what you are leaving behind was never meant to hold you forever. What's ahead is greater than what's behind. Keep moving forward. When God exposes someone in your life, it's never just about them. It's about you. It's about what he's doing in you, what he's preparing you for, what he's calling you into. Because every separation, every revelation, every shift in your life is not just about what's being removed. It's about what's being refined within you. There are times when God allows us to see the truth about someone, and we think it's just about avoiding hurt, dodging deception, or stepping away from danger. But there's something deeper happening. God is shaping you, strengthening you, teaching you to trust him in ways you never have before. Because you see, exposure is not just about what God is revealing, it's about how you respond. Some of you have been through this. You've had people you trusted betray you. You've had friends who walked away when you needed them the most. You've had someone you thought would always stand with you suddenly turn against you. And in those moments, the pain was real. The confusion was heavy. You wondered why God allowed it to happen. You asked him, Lord, why didn't you stop this before it got this far? But what if I told you he did? What if I told you the signs were there all along, but you weren't ready to see them? What if I told you he allowed the breaking so that you could be built into something stronger? God doesn't just remove people from your life. He removes the things in you that kept you tied to them in the first place. Maybe he exposed a toxic friendship because he's teaching you to find your worth in him, not in the approval of others. Maybe he allowed a betrayal because he's showing you that not everyone who walks with you is meant to finish with you. Maybe he let that relationship fall apart because he's breaking your dependence on people so that you can depend fully on him. Because there is a place God is trying to take you, and not everyone can go with you. There is a level of faith he is calling you to, and some relationships will only hold you back. There is a destiny he has prepared for you, and if you're too tied to what he's trying to remove, you'll never step into it. You see, every exposure is an opportunity. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. You can let it harden your heart, or you can let it teach you discernment. You can let it break your trust in everyone, or you can let it strengthen your trust in God. And the enemy would love nothing more than for you to stay stuck in the pain. He would love for you to close yourself off, to build walls so high that you never let anyone in again. He would love for you to walk around wounded, suspicious, guarded, unable to receive the good things God has for you because of what someone else did. But hear me. Don't let the exposure of one person cause you to lose sight of what God is doing in your life. If God removed them, it's because they were standing in the way of something greater. If God revealed the truth, it's because he's preparing you for something that requires clarity. And if he's allowing this season of separation, it's because he is drawing you closer to him. So don't just ask, why did this happen? Ask, Lord, what are you teaching me? Don't just ask, why did they leave? Ask, what are you preparing me for? Don't just focus on who walked away. Focus on the one who never will, because on the other side of this, there is something greater. On the other side of this, there is a blessing you cannot yet see. On the other side of this, God is positioning you for something beyond what you ever imagined. So don't let what was revealed in this season stop you from stepping into the next. What God removes, he replaces. What he exposes, he redeems. And what he takes away, he always restores with something far greater than what you lost. When God exposes someone in your life, it is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of something new. It is not just about what he has removed, it is about what he is making room for. Because every loss, every separation, every painful revelation is a doorway to something greater. But here's the question, will you walk through it? Too many people get stuck at the threshold. They see the truth, they acknowledge it, they even understand that God is calling them forward, but they stay right where they are. They keep looking back. They keep mourning what they lost. They keep asking God to restore what he has already removed. And in doing so, they miss the very thing he was trying to give them all along. You see, when God exposes, it is not just an ending. It is an invitation to step into a new level of discernment, an invitation to trust him in a way you never have before, an invitation to walk into the next chapter of your life with greater wisdom, greater strength, and a greater understanding of who he is. But you cannot walk into the future while holding on to the past. You cannot step into what God has next while still clinging to what he has already declared finished. Do you remember the story of Elijah and Elisha? Elisha was plowing the fields when Elijah came and threw his cloak over him, calling him into a greater purpose. But before Elisha followed, he did something significant. He burned the plow. He destroyed the very thing that tied him to his past, because he understood something that many of us struggle with. You cannot step into your calling while keeping a backup plan in case things don't work out. You cannot walk into what God has for you while leaving a door open to what he has removed. And some of you need to burn the plow. Some of you need to stop looking for a way back and start looking ahead. Some of you need to stop rehearsing what happened, stop replaying the betrayal, stop trying to make sense of why they did what they did, and start walking toward what God has next, because the truth is, not everyone was meant to stay. Not everyone was meant to go with you. And if God revealed the truth, if he removed them, if he allowed the separation, then you can trust that it was for a reason. God is always ahead of you. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. And if he has taken something away, it is only because he is preparing you for something better. But the longer you dwell on what was, the more you delay what could be. The longer you hold on to bitterness, resentment, and regret, the more you close yourself off from the blessings that are waiting for you. You may not see it yet, but there is something beautiful on the other side of this. There is healing, there is restoration, there is a new season that God is calling you into, and it is far greater than what you left behind. So I ask you today, will you trust him? Will you believe that he knows what he's doing? Will you surrender your questions, your pain, your need for answers, and simply say, Lord, I trust you. Even when I don't understand, I trust you. Because when you do, when you finally release what God has exposed, when you stop looking back and start walking forward, you will realize something powerful. What you lost was never the best he had for you. The best is still ahead. Don't mourn what God has already moved on from. Lift your head, walk forward, and step into the greater things he has prepared for you.